How you doing? This is Coffee Break with Jimmy and Friends, and I'm Jimmy Souza, your host. Thank you for being here. We want to talk about Donald J. Trump. I want to talk about actually getting him back in office. I want to talk about his leadership. I want to talk about his character, the things that he's done, the 4 years of his presidency. The, I think he proved to all of us of his leadership capabilities. And I think if you compare that to the president we have now, he's far and above a better leader than Joe Biden has ever been. Now, Donald Trump, going back to the beginning, when he first started, of course, he came in with his own money, right? And a lot of people, they got to have donors. You got to have donors to get you in. You have to kind of go by a lot of things. What you're running on has got to be basically their platform, others' platform, the ones that are going to get you in. Donald Trump came in with his own platform. And I really believe, you get right down to it, the platform for Donald Trump was America, was the American people. I think this is really what he was doing this for, because frankly, he had a pretty good life. I mean, he was pretty well set. He's a very accomplished businessman, an accomplished leader, okay? And then he proved that he was an accomplished leader in the political realm, which was something that he was never familiar with before. And we'll get more into that. But Joe Biden, from the start, when he got elected, which I think fraudulently, if you ask me, I think Donald Trump actually won that election. And of course, there's a lot more to talk about that. Of course, the pandemic, of course, all the mail-in ballots, something that was unprecedented, and I think that was a lot. There was 136 million people, registered voters in the United States. Where'd you get 160 million registered voters? Because 74 million that Donald Trump got, they were legitimate, okay? Where did Biden get another 80 or 81 or 82, whatever, however many millions that he got? Where did those guys come from, okay? Yeah. They weren't there, and like I said, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was 136 million. But so we'll get into that some other time about the fraudulent vote. But Biden's in there now, and as soon as he got into office, what did he do? He signed 70 or better executive orders to end the Trump presidency. Everything that Donald Trump had done, Joe Biden, I think it was 70. It might have been 40, but I think it was 70 executive orders that he signed. Of course, he ended the Keystone Pipeline, which was big. Of course, our gas prices gone up, our food prices gone up, everything's gone up. Inflation's gone to the roof. We haven't had one good GDP quarter since if we have had, maybe recently we've had maybe one, but I don't think we've had where Trump had 8 in a row, starting off slow, but he had like 8 in a row that were over, the 3% threshold. Now, Joe Biden, by all accounts, I think, it's a failed presidency. You can go back to the exit of Afghanistan. You can, he gave Russia their pipeline into Germany, the Nord Stream or Nord Stream 1 or Nord Stream 2 that eventually somebody blew up. I don't know who blew it up, but someone did. He entered our pipelines over here, and that was going to be part of our economic future here in America. And it was going to feed both ends. Not only was America was going to make money on, the United States was going to make money on this, but it was going to keep us cheaper gasoline prices. And but those are failed policies on the Biden administration. You can look at the border. Come on, the border is the worst. Trump, another 6 months, maybe a year, the wall would have been completed. We need immigration. Always have had immigration from the inception of our country. We've had immigration. We've had immigration from all over the world. and we still need immigration, but legal immigration. I can remember, like, my grandparents were immigrants. One came here in 1907, and the other, my grandfather, came in 1907. My other grandfather was 1917. But they were both guaranteed a job when they got here. They had a sponsor, and so they had a job when they got here. And then they flourished after that. One became a dairyman, one became a farmer, and they did very well. Raised their families, they worked hard. That's the one thing this country promised them, is the opportunity. And that's what you have in this country, an opportunity. But for people just to come across the border, and the cartels bring them across the border with all the fentanyl and all the human trafficking and everything that's coming across along with that, and all the bad people coming out from other countries. I mean, MS-13, how many of them they have arrested, okay? So we can go in to every part of the Biden administration, how they failed. Where the Trump administration, everything that they were doing was gaining ground. Now, it was something I was watching the news the other day, and I understood. And when Trump was talking, he was talking at one of his rallies, and he was talking about how the energy independence, where we're going to be energy, we're going to be selling energy, gasoline, liquid, gas to other countries. We were going to be supplying them with energy. That would have we would have made money off of that. We would have actually had, would have helped our debt. Because, when you spend money, and Donald Trump spent a lot of money on the military. They get the military back up to where it needed to be. And I like that, because you can see the EGA behind me. I'm a Marine. And so I'm a military guy all the way. But so when he rebuilt our military, made our military stronger. And it needs to be strong, because we are the world power that people don't have to be afraid of us, but respect us, okay? And I think all the country, I think it's Xi and Putin and even Kim Jong-un, they all respected Trump. I don't think anybody respects Biden. So having said what I've said here so far in the beginning here, this is why we need to get 45 into 47, okay? We have to get him reelected. And so even though it's a year and a half away, they are starting the primaries now for the GOP, and I don't even know if they're going to have any primaries. I think they're just kind of settling in on Biden running for reelection, which we'll see how that plays out. But we have to really pay attention to voting. We have to have fair voting. I don't know what we have to do. I do know one thing. We have to start doing what Democrats do. They go out and they harvest votes. Now, whether they're harvesting dead people's votes or people that just maybe have got ballots but they're not going to vote, or they may vote but then someone goes and harvests them and then they vote the way they want to vote for them, which isn't really the right way to do it. If you want to go educate someone about voting and they have their votes, let them vote on their own, and let them, pick whoever they want. You can educate them on one side or the other and what's best for this country. But I think right now, everybody knows what's best, and that's to get a conservative back there in the office. And Ron DeSantis, he seems to be a good candidate. He's done well in Florida. I don't think he's up to par with President Trump, actually. Even though they actually have a lot of the same policies. They're looking at things the same way, and so is Nikki Haley, and I like Tim Scott. There's a lot of good candidates out there that are actually going to run for president. I think any one of them, even Mike Pence, they're talking about him running too. He hasn't thrown his hat in the ring yet. But I wouldn't mind seeing Mike Pence back as the vice president running Trump again. I actually wouldn't mind seeing Ron DeSantis running as Donald Trump's vice president, because we had it in the years where we had a little dry mouth. We had the Bush Reagan era. Okay, Ronald Reagan ran for 2 terms. and then George H.W. Bush ran for one term after that. We had 12 years of basically the same administration, if you will, different administration, but it's basically the same policies. And when Clinton took over, when Clinton was elected, of course he had Newt Gingrich was the Speaker of the House, and he helped Clinton keep him in check. But we actually had a balanced budget. You don't think that didn't have something to do with Reagan and George H.W. Bush and what they did for 12 years? I think if we had, we have Trump for 4 years and maybe Ron DeSantis as his vice president come in and run again, maybe 8 years of Ron DeSantis, or any of the others, if they happen to run with President Trump, Nikki Haley, for instance, she's pretty smart. And so I would like to see that, because it's going to take, they said it's going to take at least 15 years, if everything's done right, for us to get out of debt, or even get close to being out of debt. So when you think about that, we need 12 years of a conservative president in there doing the right things. And I think if they were doing the right things, the same thing that Trump did for 4 years, and we had another 12 years of that, I think we'd be in pretty good shape. I don't know. It's possible. But you have to understand, we're the ones who put everybody in office. We're the ones who vote. So I implore you Democrats out there that are solid Democrats. I got friends that they've been Democrats all their life. They're not going to change. We're a Democrat. We've been a Democrat forever. We're going to be a Democrat forever. That's it. Maybe it might be time for you to change, because if you haven't noticed, Democrats, you can go to all the big cities where, all the, the killing and the stealing and, all of the law, everything that's against law and order in the big cities, and all the big cities, Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, it's all Democrat run, every one of them. Maybe it's time to open your eyes. Maybe it's time to open your eyes and say, maybe this isn't the right way. Maybe it's going to take a while for people to open their eyes. And I think Victor Davis Hanson said it the other day. I was watching a program he was on, and he was saying it's going to take a while for us to, and because Victor Davis Hanson is also from California, like I am. And I'm in no great hurry for leaving the state of California. In fact, I don't want to leave California. I want to stay right here. I've been in California all my life. And I think it's still the best state in the union. But we've been doing some bad things. Because it is pretty much Democrat run, and I live here in the Valley. We're red here, but we get dominated by the Bay Area and Los Angeles. San Diego's a little more conservative, I guess, than the other big cities. But I think and it can happen. We can change this around if we start putting this out to everybody. And that's partly why I'm doing this podcast, because I want to try to reach as many people as I can, especially Hispanics. I work with a lot of Hispanics, okay? And a lot of them are conservative Republicans. They get up in the morning, put their boots on, they go to work. And that's kind of like the narrative of a conservative Republican, okay? That's just, and there's a lot of Democrats that way too. I would think are conservative Democrats, if you will, but I think they could be, and this is something that I think we have to go after. We have to go after, especially in the state of California, we have to go after the Hispanics, because I think a lot of Hispanics out there, and I've talked to a lot of them. In fact, I'm going to have a few of them. I got this one, Anthony Garcia. He wants to be on my podcast, and I've talked to him about that. And, he speaks Spanish. He's from Mexico. He came here the right way. He got him his green card. He's got it, In fact, his dad and his uncles, they've all came over here that way, and they came here over there the right way. And he wants to reach out to Hispanics, too. So I've invited him. He'll be on my podcast, as soon as I can get him on here. And because I want to attack that group of people, and the youngsters, because the youngsters they're our future. I'm not going to call them Generation Z or X or whatever you want to call them. I'm just talking about your younger people, your teenagers, your 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds. It's just, this is the time where you have to understand how the world really works. And the only way to make changes, if you want to make some changes, is to vote. So we have to get out to vote. We have to get out to vote. And especially now, we have to change the administration that's here now. I don't believe that they've damaged us so much that it can't be reversed. I don't think anything is. I think anything rather is can be reversed, because I don't think anything's irreversible. I think you just got to work hard, and probably have to work a little bit harder now, because I think everything that the Biden administration has touched has gone bad. I mean, you look at all of his secretaries. I don't care, Secretary Mayorkas and Janet Yellen. I mean, all these. To me, I just don't really think they know what's going on, and I think my phone's ringing. The Marine Corps hymn. That's my phone ringer, and of course, again, I'm a Marine, so. But that's who I want to go after. I want to go after those groups of people and see if because really, I want to get Donald Trump back in office. I want to get him back as our president again. I think, again, his character, I think his leadership abilities, and I think he's proven that to all of us, what he can do, especially with everybody on his back. Come on, I mean, they spied on his campaign, they did investigations on him, the Russia hoax, the 2 different impeachments, and none of that stuff panned out because he did nothing wrong. It's just that, Donald Trump, he wanted to drain the swamp, okay? And when he said that, all right, he's going to drain the swamp, he's going to do something, he's going to probably, the swamp consists of Republicans and Democrats, all of them, okay? And they're all sitting up on Capitol Hill, cutting the fat hog, shitting and talk cotton, doing everything they want to do, okay? Have you ever noticed how most politicians, they'll promise you this, and they'll promise you that, but they'll give you a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and never give you everything. And always the excuse is, we couldn't get the Republicans on board, or we couldn't get the Democrats on board, so we have to keep working on this, and it's going to take forever. It's just like here recently, and Trump is, he's got some moxie, that's for sure. But he said, Ron DeSantis says it's going to take him 8 years to get all this stuff done. Well, Trump said, what do you mean? What is it going to take 8 years? I can get this done in 6 months. Well, that's pushing a little bit, okay, Donald? I think that might push it a little bit, but if anybody can do it, I believe he can. And I believe he really feels that. If he feels that, I really believe he thinks he can. And more power to him. I'm on board. I'm on board, Donald. If you say you can get it done in 6 months, let's get it done. Let's get it done. But so when you think about things like that, about how they've always voted, and I think it's all about self, the politicians, whether you're in the House of Representatives, you're in the Senate, everybody's sitting there. How do they make 120,000, 140,000, whatever their salaries are, and they make that in a year, and 4 or 5 years later they're millionaires. Okay, there's something nefarious going on here, if you ask me. Okay, and we've all said it. We've all said, hey, they're on the take. We've all said it, every one of us, but none of us has ever come out and tried to do anything about it. Frankly, that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to try to get that out as much as I can, and other things. There's so many other things. There's just so much stuff going on right now. There's just so much to talk about. There's so many things to straighten out. But it starts at the top, and that's getting the president back in there. And I'm talking about Donald J. Trump. We have to get him back in there. Whatever he's got to go through during the primaries right now, he'll go through it. And I don't think there's anybody that can even come close to taking his position. But This is what I'm after. This is what I'm trying to do. And then we got to look at our local elections too, especially here in the state of California. We got to look at our our supervisors, our our city councils, our state assembly, our state senate here in the state of California. We've got to get, and our governor. Come on, Gavin Newsom. He's about the worst you're going to get. I mean, and again, these are guys that are, like I said, sitting on Capitol Hill, or in this case, in California's Capitol Hill, and they're just doing whatever they can do what's best for them. Okay, and I think, Dianne Feinstein and I think Nancy Pelosi, I think all of them done real well for themselves. But I don't think they did real well for the rest of us, for the American people. And that's the thing Donald Trump does. He does it for the American people. He says it at all his rallies. He makes that known. It's for the people. Everything's for the people. Donald Trump. Come on. What else is... he could be playing golf every day for the rest of his life, enjoying life to the fullest. But he wants to run this country. And he's doing it for us. That shows his character right there. Talking about character. That shows his character right there. And I think I think that's we need him. We need him back. So having said all this, I'm just kind of give you a synopsis on what I'm trying to get out there and what I'm trying to talk about. And what does that say? my nephew's over here. He's my production manager, if you will. He's helping me out here, and I couldn't read whatever you had on your phone, Frank. But what's that? Oh yes, yeah. Donald Trump talks to the people. He doesn't talk at you. Have you ever noticed that? He does talk to you, and that makes a lot of people come. You see in his rallies, you see how people act at his rallies. They all feel like he's talking to each one of them. He goes, he points at him, he talks to him, he says different things to him, makes little comments. He makes you feel like you're part of what he's trying to do. He's one of us. He just makes a lot more money, but he's one of us, and I really truly believe that. But anyhow, this is my podcast, and this is what I'm trying to do. And I'm going to try to get this out at least once, maybe twice a week. I want to get out and talk to as many people as I can. I'm going to do some interviews with my friends, people that I know, normal people, everyday people, and get their opinions on what they think, because I think a lot of opinions that the people that I know are pretty much the same opinions that most of us have. Might be a little bit different, and that's one the good thing about it. When you get a lot of different opinions, you might hear something profound from someone else that you never heard before, never really quite heard it that way. And that's what's good about this social media, these podcasts, listening to different people and what they think, because they might have something you never really thought about. And we got to put everything on the table in this election, because we have to get Donald Trump. We have to get some conservatives back in there in the Senate. In fact, I have a gal running for Senate here. Her name is Denise Gary Pendle. She's from Bakersfield, and she's already said that she'd come on my podcast. And I'd like her to come on here. I'd like to see what she's got. I've talked to her before, and she seems to be pretty sharp. And she's running for Dianne Feinstein's Senate spot in the United States Senate. And get everything we can out there. Get everyone's opinions, and we'll go from there. Okay? If you enjoy the video, please press the like button and share it with your friends. If you have any comments or questions, put it in the comments section below, and I'll answer as many as I can. If you enjoyed the content of this channel, please press the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and next time I send out a video, you'll be notified right away. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.